Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Baldur's Gate 3, where life's a beach, and then you die. And then a couple of weird lizard people come along and interrogate your corpse. You know, we've all been there. Regardless, today we are indeed wrapping up our very first day back in Faerun. 11 episodes to get to this point, but we are finally going to get a good night's sleep. And given that we are winding things down for our first day, I went ahead and doubled back, re-cleared all the maps, picked up all the vendor trash we missed, which was a fair bit, and then I went ahead and liquidated most of it at the local vendors, mostly Damon, the blacksmith. And then I used about a third of the money we raised to pick up a few new toys. Nothing really groundbreaking, but a few odds and ends that should hopefully make things slightly easier for us moving forward. We've got the gloves of missile snaring. We've got the ring of flinging. We picked up the disguise mask while we were passing back through camp. We grabbed the safeguard shield for a +1 savings throw. And then, perhaps most notably, we picked up the hunting shortbow, which I've currently got on Asterion, but will probably swap off to Shadowheart after her impending respec. Regardless, whilst I was scouring the shore for seashells to sell, I couldn't help but notice a couple of the local beach bodies have an enticing new glow about them. Let's check those water logs, shall we?
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Not a lot of options, but who are you?
Ellie. Fisherwoman.
Elturel. That's the coastal city somewhere nearby that was dragged partially into Avernus as part of the 4th and 5th edition lore set. Which is why they drove out all the tieflings, because they don't trust them anymore. I imagine that's beyond the scope of this particular game, but I don't suppose you could give us directions. Is it somewhere nearby?
No. Upriver. Too far.
Yeah, that's fair. So what happened to you?
Chased elf. Brains chased me.
Chased elf? I mean, obviously she was killed by the intellect devourers that we wiped out earlier, but I think this is the first we're hearing about any elf coming out of the wreckage. I suppose she could be talking about Asterion, or possibly one of the other numerous corpses dotting the coastline. Though, if it was, they certainly don't seem to have anything to say about it. I mean, it can't be the Drow, because we saw Minthara during the crashing cutscene and she was nowhere nearby. She was at what I'm assuming are the temple ruins to the west, and Ned was too busy being dead at the time. I don't know. Maybe it was Asterion. Maybe he used these poor folks as bait or something, so he could sneak past the brains. We did meet him right on the other side. Though we also found a couple of Mind Flayer pods over there, so that could just be where he landed. Thankfully, we do have one other chatty corpse right around the corner. Let's see if he can provide us with some extra context.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Hey, who are you?
Francis. Merchant. Selling pottery.
Ah, local pot vendor. And what happened to you?
Guiding my cart. Shadow fell. Tentacle grabbed me. Took me here. Put something in my eye.
Oh wow, okay, so he went way back to his original abduction. I don't suppose you know why.
No. Took everyone. Peasants. Lords. Took them all.
Right, yeah, that tracks. They're basically just filling out the ranks of the Absolute. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's less about the quality and more about the quantity. I don't suppose you know how to remove these things?
Find healer. Or die. It'll leave.
Which I suppose he would know firsthand, what with being dead and all. Yeah, that tracks. And it is basically what Nettie told us as well. Hey, this is awkward, but I don't suppose you have any valuables?
They took me. Took everything.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
Yes, and any valuables he had on him we already took. That was the silver pendant and rapier, I believe. Sadly, we cannot ask that guy anything. Maybe he's just too alien. And I actually did think to go back and double-check the other one as well, the one we passed earlier and spared, so that it might bleed out in the dirt. But it turns out it's gone, which I'm sure is not at all foreboding or unsettling in any way. Surely that won't come back to haunt us at some point. That said, not a lot of actionable intel from those corpses, but still some interesting context about what's going on. And now that we've got that done, let's go get campy. Chat up our companions, get their thoughts on this whole mess. And then, assuming we still have time left after that, we'll start pushing west. I am still debating on whether or not to actually help Slaza, especially in light of the new information we picked up about her cult. But we can at least set our sights on picking up Karlach. Maybe chat her up before we let Will have his way with her. And then beyond that, we've got the big goals. We've got the Goblin leadership we have to neutralize or parley with, which Slaza might help with, though it's seeming more and more unlikely. And then we've got that evidence we have to pick up, which is way south. Anyway, let's get back to camp. Okay, so obviously I already swung by here once to pick up our loot for the vendor run. And look who happened to find his way here. I guess this must be the proper time and place.
We meet again, as predicted. I shall be here in thy camp for whenever thou hast need of my services.
Cool. Yeah, I do enjoy the occasional corpse just turning up at my camp. So no offense, but what exactly is your deal? What are you?
There are many answers to that question. None are important.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of important because it's my camp and you're a corpse. You get that this is super weird, right?
Correct.
Okay, glad we're in agreement. You gonna elaborate, or...?
No.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Can you at least tell me why you're here?
Beyond mortal realms, there doth exist an amalgamation of spirits akin to thine own, ensnared by the treacherous cult of the Absolute, felled in its name. They bear great discontentment with their destiny. For a mere pittance of coin, I might summon the worthiest among them to lend aid to thy undertaking.
Really? That is interesting. So you're saying these are former cultists who died in service of the Absolute, and yet we can somehow trust them now?
Suspicion always haunts the guilty mind. My services are all that I can proffer thee. What thou wilt do with them is for thee to undertake.
And they would be joining me willingly. No brainworms, no absolute mandates.
Most willingly, forsooth. Their passions doth run deep for what hath been wrought upon them.
Interesting. Which actually kind of breaks the plot, because, like, our whole goal right now is to free ourselves of the brainworms, and he just straight up told us he can bring people back to life minus their brainworms. Though to be fair, it is just fluff. Sort of ham-fistedly explaining the mercenary mechanic to make custom party members, so I guess we shouldn't really dig into it too deep. Any other incredible game-breaking services you have to offer?
Should thou or any of thy compatriots perish, I will cleave soul to body once more.
And yet we would still be saddled with our own crippling conditions, right? Seems awfully arbitrary. Any particular reason for that?
Because it is my calling. There is little else to explain.
Because you're an anthropomorphized game mechanic. Got it. So what's the actual cost on this?
A matter of coin.
Oh, that is actually very reasonable. Not to mention, we now have access to respecking. That's slightly earlier than I thought we would get it. Though, I don't think we'll do it just yet. There's a couple of other things we have to take care of first. But we will definitely come back to that. Invasion plans for the Sword Coast. This map of the Sword Coast sprawls from the deep forest of Tethir to the frigid spine of the world, its topography worn by ancient ink and the constant trade between mortal hands. Why exactly do we have this? I mean, I suppose, realistically, we're just using that to navigate our path. Regardless, let's cycle through companion banter, and then we'll get some rest. Gale?
A Githyanki joining our company. Not a collaboration I'd have anticipated, but a welcome one nonetheless.
I mean, could any of us have really predicted any of this? I feel like it's all a bit out of the ordinary, even for a place like Faerun. Speaking of which, would you mind refreshing my memory? Why exactly is it that you need to consume raw magic to survive?
Think of it as tribute. The kind a king might pay to a more powerful neighbor to avoid invasion. As long as I pay, there will be peace. But should I ever stop, along comes a war. I can assure you, the battlefield would extend well beyond the borders of my body alone.
That is very vague and very ominous, thank you, Gale. Though technically we're all in that situation right now. What with the mysterious mindworms? Well, I'm sure he'll open up a bit once we feed him an artifact or two. Well, you made it.
The goblins still infest the roads. As long as their leaders live, Zevlor's people are trapped.
I mean, hey, we're working on it, buddy. But I had some questions for you. Like, you weren't actually kidnapped by the Mind Flayers, right? You willingly hopped on the ship in Avernus? What's up with that?
Karlach's fires raged in Baldur's Gate before she escaped to Avernus, as my source told it. And she was planning to return. One of the Archdevil Zariel's own. chaos incarnate, a devil with pure fire for a heart. I made my way to Avernus to stop her. She fled from my reach, even climbed aboard the Mind Flayer ship as it screeched through the hells. I followed in close pursuit. I can't bear to imagine the lives Karlach might be taking, the damage she might be doing.
Sure, I get that. But how did you end up on her tail in the first place?
A powerful friend with a keen interest in privacy. I'm sworn to say no more.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yes, I suppose I'm no stranger to serving an inscrutable patron myself.
You are a warlock. You know about bound souls and frozen tongues. I can only leave the rest to your imagination. Suffice to say, I hunt monsters, devils included, and I will do what I can to quench the coast of their flames.
So is that how you became the Blade of Frontiers, or is that just a symptom? Which came first?
My father once said, "One does not pursue a champion's life. One merely answers its call." So it was for me. I was hunting near the Cloakwood when I heard it. A child crying out from a lone farmstead. I found him in the fields, flanked by goblins. His mother's corpse bled into the soil next to him. I don't remember much of the battle, but I remember drying the boy's tears after.
Saving the life of an innocent. A truly noble call to adventure. You must have felt quite proud.
Proud? No. Angry. Angry at the monsters preying on innocents. Angry at the so-called good gods for tolerating the cruelty of the evil. Angry at myself that it took so long for me to see the coast suffering. The frontiers demanded a blade. And so I heeded.
And before that? Who was the man before the Blade?
Baldur's Gate, born and raised. The only son of a single father. He wanted one life for me. I chose another. We haven't spoken since I left the city. A classic drama. A staunch father and his rebellious son. Better heard from the bard's lips than mine.
I can't help but notice your stone eye. Another price you paid to become the Blade?
A most vicious one, in fact. It's made from pure bloodstone, carved from the Galena Mountains just north of the Moonsea. A reminder that sometimes blood must be shed and sacrifices must be made. But that story is reserved for lifetime friends and calmer days.
Fair enough. Though I suppose it couldn't hurt to take a slightly closer look.
Tiny grooves spider across the eye's surface. It resembles a sending stone used to confer with distant contacts.
Ah, a sending stone. So that's how you keep in touch with your patron. I mostly just get sanity-rending nightmares myself.
A sending stone? Nothing so special, I assure you.
His breathing quickens, his jaw tenses. Will is keeping something from you. A strange sensation courses through you, and your companion's mind unfolds, secrets half revealed.
No, we're not going to engage in a battle of wills. Generally speaking, we'll try to lean away from abusing our mysterious illithid powers, even though I do hear there's no real consequences for doing so, apparently. That's another casualty of the cut content. But, logically, it's just not something our character would do. He already made one bad decision, that's why he's a warlock. No need to double down. That said, it is also pretty obvious that Will is lying to us, which does not get us off on the right foot. But, to be fair, we did just meet. So I'm sure he'll open up in time. We'll just, we'll drop it for now.
Gladly. What else is on your mind?
No, mostly just the worms. We're not really going to be traveling with him too much. He actually, he got the least number of votes in the companion poll I ran back when I started the series. Lae'zel, though, she was right in the middle of the pack. Not high enough for priority placement, but we may travel with her from time to time.
Be wary of false promises. The missing druid, Halsin, was it? He may be talented, but only a Githyanki Zaithis can cleanse an embedded tadpole.
I mean, I've got it under pretty good authority. There are, in fact, other cures. But you're pretty stuck on this whole Creche thing, huh?
Entirely. I was as devoted to my studies as I was to my training. Each Creche contains a Zaithisk purification device. So I learned from the writings in the cRPG library. The library was a gift from Drakiith herself, that we may gain total understanding.
Right, sure, yeah. A Zaithisk device. That does sound promising, but I can't help but notice, in listening to you, that you have no first-hand knowledge of these things actually working. You just read about it. I mean, look, I love reading as much as the next Sorlock, but you have to realize books aren't infallible.
Not books, but slates. Wisdom so profound it is etched into stone. Truth as perfect as the queen who decreed it. Countless scholars roam the astral sea and beyond, observing the ways of our lessers, exploring planes so distant order turns to chaos and cold fires rage. The planes are ever quaking, and their peoples ever shifting. The Githyanki possess an eternity of knowledge. Yet we still collect more. Infinities upon infinities.
Cool, cool. So, just out of curiosity, are all Gith like you?
I expect I am your first.
I mean, that's pretty personal, but... Oh, yes, I mean, I've heard of Gith, I've just never met one.
Of course you haven't. They would have cut you from navel to neck. You are no less alien to me than I am to you. I know of your kind, but I do not often encounter them. Those diminutive scales of yours look like mistakes.
Really? Thanks for noticing. You're not so bad yourself.
It was an observation, not a compliment. No matter. I do not intend to stay long in this place.
Okay. So you're an expert on mind flayers, huh? With your 10 intelligence and your complete lack of lore skills?
I understand much beyond your comprehension. More to the point, I know the cure for our condition. It is imperative we locate a Creche. You do well to observe more and question less.
Oh yes, of course. I should be doing those things. You're right. My bad. So what happens if we don't find this Zaithisk device? Can you tell me that?
Yes, in great detail. It starts with a fever and memory loss. Then you start to hallucinate. Your hair falls out, and you bleed from every orifice. Your bones will change form. Your jaw will split to allow room for 4 great tentacles. All skin will turn to gore and be shed to reveal new flesh underneath. Then you have ceased to exist, and a mind flayer is born.
Wow, you really got into that. I mean...
Because I do not intend to let this happen. Not to me, and if you stick with me, not to you. We must find my kind and be rid of the parasite. It's as simple as that. The first symptoms should have long since started, though. That is what puzzles me.
I mean, I've got to say, Lae'zel, I feel like that's good news, at least compared to that laundry list of nightmare fuel you just acted out for us.
Yes, if you give it no further thought. But anomalies lead to surprises. Bad surprises. Besides, what hasn't happened may yet come to pass.
Yeah, that is true, but I feel like not having had it happen already is still better than the alternative. Well, Lae'zel, it has been an experience, but I gotta go. Asterion.
I am enjoying the latest addition to our little group. Lae'zel is delightful. In a very look-at-me-twice and I'll dismember you kind of way, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. So, Asterion, you want to tell me about yourself?
Oh, what's to tell? I'm a magistrate back in the city. It's all rather tedious.
You're a magistrate. You. That certainly sounds plausible, and I will not at all question it. So, any thoughts on the Moonrise Towers we know nothing about? Any idea what to expect there?
Who knows? Drow? Mind flayers? Death? Hopefully not ours. But maybe answers. If we can convince the right people to talk.
Cool. Good chat, Asterion. I don't know what I would do without your insightful commentary. Why don't you hang out here for a bit? I've got to take Lae'zel for a walk.
Oh, darling, I'm hurt. I thought we had something special.
Yeah, it's super special. Just, stay here, please. It is literally the least you could do.
I guess I'll spend my evenings lounging here while you do all the hard work. It sounds awful.
Right. Thanks. Lae'zel?
Speak.
Hey, I was just gonna pop out and have a chat with that Zoru guy you mentioned. You maybe want to come with?
It is done.
Neat. We'll worry about the level up later. I didn't really prep for that. Let's chat up Shadowheart real quick, and then we'll pop out to the Grove.
Lae'zel has a dangerous look in her eyes. Let's just hope she reserves those impulses for any common foes.
I mean, honestly, she very much gives the impression she needs us more than we need her. But I will keep that in mind. So hey, those murals back in the Grove, those seem to catch your eye.
What can I say? They were eye-catching. Consider me an art lover.
And I wish my name was Art, but... Sorry, not important. Mind if I ask you about some other stuff?
Fine. What's on your mind?
Well, how am I doing so far? Better than expected?
I don't think I've ever had a confidant quite like you. And if I have, I can't remember them.
Well, that is both very flattering and also very sad. And also, despite your fetching new guys, I can't help but notice you're having a really hard time with that muzzle. But such is the price we pay for beauty. Trust me, I'm right there with you. I have impaled many a hat. Alright, well, that wasn't too bad. Let's go deal with Zoru, and then we'll take care of the rest.
I'll be keeping an eye on you. Understand?
If I choose to kill you, you will not even see it.
Hey, you're not killing each other yet. That's certainly progress. Honestly, it is kind of a shame that we're not going to be traveling with Lae'zel more often. I certainly wouldn't mind seeing more of her banter with the other companions. It's fine, though. We've got our sights set on a slightly different sword slinger. Now, where was Zoru? We saw him earlier. He was right in front of the prison, I think. Which is over here. Hopefully he's still here. I know at least some characters will leave over time. Oh, there he is. He's right in front of us. Zoru!
By Mordai's eyes, another one. My friend's blood not enough. Come to rip me open too.
In Creche, a formal greeting begins with a bow.
Is this monster with you?
You know what, Lae'zel? I know you want to handle this yourself, but why don't we let me take point on this one? I am very pointy.
You dare interrupt? Has the tadpole ravaged your senses?
You know, I could have just come out here and talked to the guy without you. You're basically just here as a courtesy. Is that what you want? You want me to swap you back out for Asterion?
Shocky. Fine.
Alright, we good? No one's going to kill anyone.
Thanks. What do you want from me?
We've just got some questions. Clearly, you've encountered Gith before. Could you tell us about it?
On the road to Baldur's Gate, near the mountain pass. Saw us, for we saw it. Jammed its blade through Yul's belly. Straight to the other side. Man, I just ran.
The map. Show me.
Thank you. I'm sorry about your companion. And mine as well.
No hard feelings.
Alright, Lae'zel, let's move over here and...
Gods, deliver me.
Smart man, that Zoru. Get while the getting's good.
The last time a subordinate questioned my judgment, I ate tongue stew that very night.
I'm sorry, did you just say you wanted my tongue in your mouth? Not important. Lae'zel, I'm not your subordinate. You really should treat people with more respect if you want them to help you.
Kenyank, your tantrum proves you no wiser than a hatchling. The teethling was clear. If there are Githyanki west of here, that must be our objective. Purification cannot wait.
I'm sorry, we'll come back to that in a second, but, did you just say teethling?
I am unfamiliar with the... well, I shall not say culture. Custom, perhaps. You will educate me on matters of this... Fey run.
Yes, of course, I will teach you about Faerun. Or Faerun, if you'd prefer. So, you know, back on that whole purification thing, do we know nothing else about that? Because I've got to say, that's a pretty loaded term.
The Creche holds the Zaithisk. It will cleanse us of the parasite. By covenant, I can say no more.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Which, honestly, I imagine is just you blustering to cover up the fact that you don't know yourself. We now have the Gith Creche marked on our map. Just west of Karlak. Interesting. You might actually get to that sooner rather than later. I'll have to figure out what I want to do with Lae'zel's level ups. But for now, we rest. That should trigger a resting event. And yeah, then we should have some time left, so we'll start pushing west. You good there, Auric?
Speak.
Hey, just need you to wait here for a bit.
Shook. You believe you can survive without me?
I feel like I've done okay so far.
As you say, do not keep me waiting.
Well, I wish I didn't have to, but we only have 3 party slots and we need a rogue.
What do you need now?
I mean, I was about to invite you back into the party, but...
Darling, I thought you'd never ask. Lead on.
Oh, Asterion, I have not missed you. Asterion's actually not that bad, but he is not a good fit for Auric. Let's hit the sack. Oh, right. I stashed all our camping supplies in the storage chest. Let me go grab those real quick.
What's inside?
Also, I obviously didn't dump all these spare containers just yet, but I'll work on that between episodes. It's just a bit arduous. Okay, take 2 on our camping debut.
Let's see
which romance is ready to pursue. Okay. Right, I guess we're in Baldur's Gate 3 after dark. Ah, and I see that Shadowheart has shed her scales. And a fair bit of fabric.
Finally, some good fortune. Come morning, we know what to do. The sooner we find the Druid House in, the better. I can't wait to get rid of this thing in my head.
Yes, I agree, and am not at all distracted.
Head to Baldur's Gate. Someone's waiting for me.
Right, yes, you mentioned. And who is that again?
Let a girl have some secrets. Was there anything else?
I was thinking we'd just have a heart-to-heart. How you holding up?
The same. These parasites are proving suspiciously benign. But suppose I turn. What would you do?
Oh, I was really hoping for more light banter, getting things off your chest. You're serious. Can we not do this right now? These grim hypotheticals don't really help us.
It's hardly hypothetical. We're still in danger after all.
Very well. Were you to complete your transformation, you would be well and truly dead. The thing that hatched from you would be something else entirely. Were it to pose a threat, I suppose I would kill it as need be. No hesitation.
Wise. Though, I hope you'd miss me after I'm gone. I think I would if the positions were reversed. But you're right. If we're to make it through all this, there can be no room for hesitation. You're doing well. It's a beautiful night. I think I'll stay up to enjoy it while I still can. Rest well.
Yeah, I look forward to another night of endless squirming torment courtesy of my patron. And speaking of self-inflicted torment, Asterion?
You know, I've been thinking, reflecting on what tomorrow might bring. When we find the druid, will he know how to bring the worm under control? Will this little adventure of ours be over?
I'm sorry, Asterion, that is a very thirsty pose you've got there, and I'm not really sure what to make of this situation. You know what, I've got to say, we would probably go our separate ways. I'm not sure I really see us working long-term. Because you tried to murder me once, and you are super weird.
A pity. A great pity. You're quite the ally, after all. Traversing Avernus, surviving the crash, surviving everything that's followed. I'm not easily impressed by people, but you're stronger than I gave you credit for.
I'm sorry, is this negging? Are you flirting with me? I really got the impression that we kind of hated each other.
You have your charms. More than you think.
The smile on his pretty lips is a touch too composed, a bit too perfect. He may not mean a word he says.
Please don't murder me in my sleep.
Oh. You're no fun. Sleep tight. I'll see you later. I'm sure.
I love that Auric just fucking walked away. Baldur's Gate 3 After Dark is a trip. I don't know how to... Oh my gods. Lae'zel, that... I mean, if anyone's gonna have the grand cleavage feat...
A fine evening, don't you think? The moonlight shines warmly on us. The breeze caresses our faces. Hideous. All of it. Would that I were doing battle up there, among the tears.
You know, if you wore a shirt, you could have less of that night air against your skin. I'm sorry, you were saying something about tears?
Look above. Watch the moon cross the sky. The tears follow behind it. Rocky bodies tumbling through the sea of night. One of them is my Creche. Clear.
Yes. Bodies tumbling. Concentration check. It must be quite an adjustment, living away from your Creche.
Do you think me so sheltered? My entire clutch battled beholders deep within the eye of the sky. We infiltrated a Neogi spelljammer and laid waste to its crew. The tears span Toral's sky, Venisk. There is more to this realm than this grassy pebble. But enough of this. You are wasting your resting time. Come dawn, we resume our search for a Creche.
Yes, I will leave you to wet your stone. Well, by the gods, does no one here have a shirt that fits? We have spare clothes. Aren't you people cold? Okay, we'll save. We've got this.
A tingle runs through your head and down to your feet.
Ah, there it is. That shiver. Our little brainworms have made fast friends, it would seem. How do you feel?
You know, I've got a slight tingling sensation, which, that's not surprising given the circumstances.
Surprising is just the word, isn't it? Before the Illithid's unscheduled surgery, I'd felled hundreds of beasts and a fair few fiends. The tadpoles weakened me, suppressed greater talents, but beyond that, I've showed no signs of turning. No nausea, no pain, not even a hot flash.
Oh shit, that actually was interesting. I know the general headcanon was that these characters were all supposed to be higher than level 1, but they were weakened by the mind worms, but I didn't realize someone would actually come out and say it. Obviously, it's a very cheesy sort of plot contrivance just to conveniently explain why these characters are all starting level, despite their storied backgrounds. Yeah, I've been mulling over that myself. Obviously, there's something that sets us apart from other infected.
Indeed. Perhaps the worm's vat was poisoned. Perhaps we're uncommonly fit. Or perhaps the tadpoles are merely on holiday. We could conjecture all night. I suppose the why doesn't matter so much as the what next. And that answer is plain as the horns on a war devil's head. We get these things out. Let's get some rest. Dawn comes sooner than we think.
Yeah, good chat. I gotta go. Though, that might actually be it. Gale?
What's on your mind?
Figures the guy with the most clothes would have the least to say. Fucking Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, also, thanks for all the suggestions on imp names. I ended up going with Imperious Rex. Or just Rex for short, because at the end of the day, I am still basically 30-35% comic nerd. Alright, so with that ordeal behind us, let us call it a day. We'll fill our bellies, slake our thirsts. Not that one. And I guess I could wrangle a bit, try to save those 3 extra supplies, but you know what? We've got no shortage of food. I think we'll live. And I am so very tired. Oh, is it time for the sleep murder already? Yes? No? Well, I don't appear to be dead, and Asterian's walking away from us.
What do you need now?
No, I'm good. I don't need anything from you, thanks. I'm just gonna go over here. Good looking out, Rex. Thanks. Nothing like literal hellspawn watching over you to help you sleep at night. Okay, we can't leave it on that. All we've done is talk at corpses and have some really awkward conversations. Let's drop off our supplies. We'll push west at least a little. We'll try to get in a little actual adventuring before we call it quits for today. I'm just not sure I can shake that off. I'm not sure I'll recover by the end of the episode. That whole evening was like a lucid waking dream. Oh boy, I am not used to that level of shameless fan service. Time to get back to that old dusty trail.
Which way to the nearest library?
Armor up. Welcome back, Quoth. And we had something else. Shoot. I know we had something else, but I didn't plan on going this far, so I don't have it in my notes. We could put up a preemptive disguise, but that might muck up cutscenes. I guess we should hold off on that until needed.
Have a lot on my mind and, well, in it.
Well, I'm sure it'll come to me.
Time to press ahead.
Gotta focus on the task at hand. Back to exploration, back to adventuring. Back to being fully clothed. Even if Auric is showing a truly shameless amount of tail. Still gone. No surprise there, just had to check. Let us venture forth, onward to the west. What awaits us beyond the grove? I'm going to guess more goblins, based on what we've heard. Oh, aid. That's what I forgot. Let's get that going.
What am I to do?
So is that party wine? That's another liberty that Larian took with the rules, but it's one that works out in our favor.
I've seen everything.
In the actual tabletop, I believe it's limited to 3 allies per casting. Yes, okay. We are now in unexplored territory. We're starting to see random things lying around again.
Oop, goblin tracks. And far too many of them, too.
And we have a secret door, which is connected to the Druid Grove. That's got to be the other side of that secret passage we saw earlier. We'll scope that out a bit later. As aforementioned, still undecided on what we're going to do with Slaza. Part of me wants to help her, but at the same time, we also know she's literally controlled opposition. I just don't see much upside to freeing her, unfortunately. Not if she's got a tadpole in her head.
Press the wound. Not like that.
People up ahead.
What then?
Something's wrong.
I don't know.
Yeah, we've got no shortage of healing. Let's get in there.
You're a true soul. You can't die. Please, stay with us.
I don't think he's conscious. Can you hear us, Ed?
You, not a step closer.
A strange symbol glows, marked on their flesh, and something within you stirs in response.
Easy now. I'm just here to help. What's wrong with your friend?
An oil bear. Please, do you have any...
Shut up, Andric. Do you serve the Absolute?
Wait.
The injured man locks eyes with you. A familiar squirming churns in your head.
Sure, why not?
Your minds intertwine. You see his siblings, Andric and Brynna, new recruits, yours to shepherd.
Protect them. He is a true soul. Mind him. He will. He.
Edwin! Ed! Please!
He's with the Absolute now. You're a true soul. Edwin, our brother, he was chosen. Like you. Do you have orders for us? We were reporting to Edwin.
Okay, first of all, I'm glad our healer just stood back and watched that happen. Thanks for that, Shadowheart. But second, let's tread very lightly here. Because I'm fairly certain this whole ruse will collapse if we even hint that we don't know what they're talking about. That depends. My mission is to find the druid Halsin. Do you know where he might be?
I don't know any druids.
You sure? Because you're sure dressed like one. Okay, let's try this. What are you two doing? It's dangerous out here.
We know that all too well, sir, but the Absolute sent us here.
We're looking for fugitives, survivors from that ship that crashed farther west of here.
Oh, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Survivors, you say? And fugitives, too? Why, what can you tell me about these rugged and no doubt handsome survivors that I am, obviously completely unaware of?
We don't know what they look like, but anyone who survived that crash is bound to be injured. That's enough to get us started. The Absolute wants them found. At any cost.
Fugitive has a pretty negative connotation. So I have to imagine if we identify ourselves as one of them, that would just result in them trying to apprehend or otherwise attack us. And controlled or not, they do seem dangerously naive. Hence the option to get them killed, too, if we just send them after that owlbear. No, let's just get rid of them. I don't think I'd feel good killing them. Well, if you don't know where Halsin is, then you're no use to me. Just go. Go somewhere safer.
What? And just leave Ed? I suppose he'd want us to go on. Find a way to honor his sacrifice.
May the Absolute guide us.
Yeah, good luck with that.
They spoke of the Absolute. Same as that goblin Sazza. Curious.
Sazza, not Slazza.
Looks like the Absolute's drawing all sorts to become followers. Impressive in a way.
Yeah, impressive.
I
I guess if we spared those two, we might as well give Sazza a chance as well. The alternative is what? Leaving her to die in a cage? I don't think that would sit well with Auric. Then again, freeing her might just make things worse.
I'm ready.
Though to be fair, it certainly wouldn't be the first time we made things worse.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Okay, we already know his name, so we can skip that one. Tell me, what were you and your friends doing out here?
Looking for a weapon. The Absolute.
Oh, that's interesting. The other two said they were looking for fugitives. What do you know about this weapon?
Crashed from the sky. Taken by infidels.
Right. Okay. Well, I think based on the context here, we are clearly the infidel fugitives. The weapons are the things in our head, but we're not listening to them like we're supposed to. Hence why other servants of the Absolute are now trying to hunt us down. I don't suppose you have any valuables?
Brenna and Dick.
Okay, yeah, that tracks, and it makes me feel better about convincing them to just leave. What can you tell me about this absolute?
Do not fight her. Power! Such power!
Interesting. That would seem to imply that Edwin here did try to resist and paid some sort of price for it. What can you tell me about your friends, Brenna and Andric?
Sister! Brother! My job to protect them.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
Yeah, that's fine. We were pretty much done anyway.
Strange power resonates within the corpse. It calls to you. Your limbs move of their own accord. There's something of value here, something your mind craves. Why let its host's memories go to waste? The tadpole has absorbed it all. Its experience could nourish you, strengthen you.
Alright, well, I mean, as fascinating as it might be to eat this tadpole, I think we've pretty well established at this point we are not going to embrace our Mind Flayer powers, so let us resist. Or at least try to. Odds aren't really in our favor there. Basically a coin toss. Though we can weight it a bit in our favor. And you know, we'll just live with the roll. Resistance it is.
Your muscles loosen. The tadpole breaks free of its deceased host. Your mind is your own again. For now.
Neat. So, what happened to the tadpole? Is it just out in the wild now? Oh yeah, there it goes. Ah, it's gone. That's fair. Would have been nice to bank it just in case I changed my mind later down the line, but we made our choice. Might as well live with it. We resisted, and thus do not have cool Mind Flayer powers. My goodness. Edwin was prepared for quite the sausage party. I'm not going to read into that. We've got a river crossing down below. We've got a bridge just off to our left. We know Karlach is almost straight north of us at this point. North and slightly west. We know there's an owlbear around here somewhere. Edwin was mortally wounded by it, so he can't have gotten far before he dropped and died. I'm not necessarily eager to tangle with an owlbear, but I feel like it's pretty easy to avoid until we're ready for it. If that blood-spattered cave is any indicator. Though then again, if we ignore it for now, it might recover in time and be an even tougher fight later. This game does seem to have a whole bunch of secret timers running in the background, dictating or modifying how all sorts of little events play out. Alright, folks. Well, I mean, obviously we're past time, so this is a natural place to call it. We'll hit the pause button for now. I will mull over our potential options here, though I'm thinking we'll prioritize Karlach. And then beyond that, we'll just play it by ear. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Revenant, Alois, CrowkingLoR, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, TheoryB23, EgonAlter, Emile, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Rowan Church, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
It was an observation, not a compliment.